Welcome to another episode of the Fanzone podcast, your home for all things Bolton Wanderers, up the Trotters, the Northwest's #1 podcast.
Good evening, ladies and gents. Welcome back to another episode of the Fanzone podcast, episode 176, no less. Now, I must say, for those of you that are new around here, episode 176 is just of the post-match shows. I think we're up to almost 100 on the preview show. So a very warm welcome back to you all. I can see the live chat is very, very busy as always, and it is a pleasure to have you all putting your good evening messages in there. So a very warm welcome to all of you this evening. Thank you for joining us. Of course, it is a post-match show, which means this evening's episode is sponsored by Loving My Socials. And if you want to find out any more about any of our sponsors, then if you head over to our website, which is www.thefanzonepod.co.uk, you can do exactly that. But let's crack on. Post-match shows, of course, following a game against Blackpool. It happened, didn't it? I mean, they kicked the ball about for a little bit and I watched it. Got wet. Yeah. Probably end the show there, to be fair, gents.
You've not managed to dry your hair off yet, Ben, from getting wet.
I've been in the gym this morning, so I was in the hot tub this afternoon. So it's not wash night tonight. These are the things you got to think about when you've got all of this going on.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. Dan's.
These little beards don't look after themselves.
No, they don't, mate. No. Don't, mate. Got to work out wash nights and everything. It's a right night, man. I'm contemplating just joining the club, Dan, and getting rid of it all. To be honest.
To be fair, maybe you could spend a bit of time washing your hair between now and the end of the season, because I think our season's over and done with.
Yeah, so. I could have a right good routine on a Saturday now. Hair masks and all sorts to the front. Anyway, it's a post-match show, so we'll get stuck in. It's post-match reactions. Play along at home. Get your comments in the chat. Let's have a one-word review, please, ladies and
one
gents.
word. And that's the end of tonight's episode. Have a lovely evening, and we'll see you on the next one. What the hell was that, Benji?
I updated all of the mid-rolls before coming on this evening's show to make the volume more appropriate for all. However, in doing that, it seems I've used the wrong audio track somehow. So for the rest of the show, you'll have that funky background music. Anyway,
audio listeners are in for a treat with that.
Oh, they are. Right. Well, we've got our one-word reviews, and 4 of them are the same. Colin, we'll hand over to you. In fact, what I'll do for the audio benefit of the listeners, I'll read out the ones that are in the chat. We've had disappointing from Josh. Craig has said predictable. Radic Selectai has said predictable. Phil Revel has said predictable. Some might say it was predictable. Leslie has said bottle job. Well, bottle jobbers, which is, that's an interesting one. Bottle jobbers. I've not heard that one before, but it's certainly relevant. Colin, your thoughts on yesterday's match, and have they changed now that you've had some time to reflect on it? I expect not, but it's always nice to ask.
Can I give a one-word review?
It's not past the watershed, so be careful.
I'll be careful. I'm going to use the word draw.
Yeah, fairs. Yeah.
Because that is fundamentally the reason why we aren't going to get into the automatic promotion slots this season, and it's very, very, very disappointing. I felt the game itself, I never actually felt like we were in kind of control in terms of finishing them off. Obviously, the first half, we were very dominant in a strange kind of way, just due to the fact that the amount of corners that we got, I think, as much as anything else, but didn't actually really feel like we were going to score. And I was panicking a little bit, thinking, is it going to be one of them games? Which it kind of turned into be that, just not in the way and kind of I envisioned. As my opinion yesterday changed at all? No, I think it's. I said season over before. That's a ridiculous thing to say. Of course, it's not season over. It just means we're going to have to do it the hard way, doesn't it? Really, because we've let ourselves down massively this past 3 games by picking up 3 points from a possible 9, and it's just not good enough if you want to get automatically promoted. I stupidly tweeted before the game started, having seen Cardiff's result against Plymouth, that could very well knock them sideways, and that was me thinking that we would go on to beat Blackpool rather comprehensively, and obviously it didn't turn out that way. And I've backtracked significantly on that in my thoughts in terms of the season. I think it's I think it's going to be a possible and likely trip to Wembley again. So get your credit cards, overdrafts ready, and all the rest of it else in between, because once again, another expensive trip to the capital, I think, is on the horizon. That's if, of course, we managed to win over 2 games, which at the moment you wonder whether or not that's going to be possible. However, I'd like to think that the longer the season's gone, the stronger the players will get in terms of match fitness for Apter and Blackett Taylor, obviously, and Mario coming back for the running as well, which will help, obviously, undoubtedly. So I think we will be strong enough to get to Wembley. Then it's just the old flip of the coin, isn't it, really? But yeah, I've resigned myself to the playoffs, unfortunately. But bring it on, eh? We've had 2 years in the last 3 years that we've had that experience, haven't we? So that'll count for an awful lot, not only from a player perspective, but from a fan expectation perspective as well. Which obviously, if you think before the Barnsley and Oxford kind of playoffs, a lot of the fan base, well, not a lot, but a decent percentage of younger fan base haven't experienced the playoff before, and they kind of now know what to expect, which will obviously rub off on the players. So yeah, we just have to end the season strong and just keep going.
Yep, that is all we can do, really. It feels like at this point you mentioned there that you'd resigned yourself to the fact that we're going up, going into the playoffs, potentially going up through them. Daryl, who's a friend of the show, who's joined us for the last show, also said very similar things, that he's done his first Airbnb check down in the Wembley area. So I think that is the general feeling amongst the fans, and I just hope that doesn't steep into a complacency amongst the players. Obviously, we are relatively comfortable in the playoffs, but there's a lot of teams below us that could leapfrog us. There's a lot of teams that are taking outside shots at the playoffs, and we can't afford to go into a playoff run on a really poor run of form after hitting a bit of a slump, because we've seen what that can do. We've had, the second half of our season derailed when it looked like we were in the hunt for automatic promotion with Derby and Portsmouth, and that went horribly wrong. But Dan, let us know your thoughts. How did you see the game, and how do you see the rest of the season?
If I was to give a one-word kind of thought about the game, it'd just be typical. It's just us, isn't it? This season, it's us to a T. We have more of the ball in the first half, in particular. All right, yeah, I feel like you could say it was dominant. It was really the corners, like you said, Cole. We just seemed to have endless amount of corners. Keeper made a couple of good saves as well. But
did you feel like that, Dan? That it never really felt, even though we were having all them corners, that we were never really going to score? I don't know what it was.
Well, to be honest with you, I thought initially we were quite slow in moving the ball. I wanted us to move it a little bit quicker. They were obviously digging in and keeping the shape and sitting off us a little bit, but it didn't feel like we were creating loads of dangerous attacks, if I'm being honest. It was just more, we were getting in down the sides and getting the corners. And obviously we did have a couple of chances as well. But yeah, it didn't feel like we were battering them, to put it like that. I felt like we were in control of it to a certain extent, but it's weird because I've been quite optimistic all season, regarding our chances. And I've definitely been looking at things from like a glass half full perspective. But I'm not even bothered about the game yesterday, which sounds ridiculous, but it's the bigger picture that's weighing me up over this weekend. When you look into the results and where we've dropped points and all the chances we've missed, and yeah, I think like we've gone on that one run, I think, where we won like 5 in a row or something like that. But we've never been consistent in terms of getting a really good run of wins. Like, I know we're 9 unbeaten or whatever it is now, but giving away draws and things like that, when you should be winning, like the context of it is everything. And we've had so many games this season where we've had opportunities to kill teams off and we don't. And then defensively, all right, you know, you can have a moan about our defending and things like that, but statistically, our defense is good. So I think the issue is when you're not killing them off, there's always that bit. You know what football's like? You're never going to batter someone for 90 minutes. They're always going to get chances. And when you're not putting them to bed, going 2 or 3 goals up, it just makes it a bit nervy, I feel. And yesterday, we could have lost that yesterday in the second half. 100% we could have lost it. But I think what I find interesting is, you know, you look at the run sort of Lincoln have been on. They've just been winning. They're just machines, and that's kind of what you have to be in this league. We've seen it before with teams that have gone up like Derby, Portsmouth. You know, not fantastic on the eye teams, just absolute grafters who work for each other and just get the results. It's all about getting the result over the line, innit? But one thing that I found quite interesting, I saw somebody tweeting Mark Arles on Twitter, and basically it was in reference to like how many shots we'd had. So like kind of like the efficiency. So I looked into the stats, and Cardiff, obviously top of the league, they've had 651 shots, scored 64 goals with like a ratio of 9.8. So you've got Lincoln in second, 550 shots they've had with 59 goals, which is like a 10.7% ratio. Not really interested in that last one. But
I know where this is going.
You might do, but I genuinely can't believe these numbers. Bolton, 789 shots, 45 goals. If any, like, forget
is the one for comparing those to shots on target, because that'd be an interesting one as well.
I've not seen that, but I'm sure if you dug enough, you could find it.
Did you say 789 then?
789 shots for 45 goals.
Nearly 800 shots. We're only in February as well.
Yeah, I know Brandon's message. I've not actually listened to it, but I'm assuming it was because of the conversation I saw on Twitter regarding it being on the last word. But
right,
if you disregard the defending, what you think of the defence, we've had keeper issues and all that. That tells the entire story of our season. Mm-hmm. And it's just an absolutely baffling statistic, that. And I suppose, do we have the players? I'd argue we do to an extent. I don't think the bad players, attacking players that we've got. Is it that, like, if anyone of a statistical mind knows how to kind of analyse stuff like this, but is it like the type of chances we're creating, where we're getting the ball in, stuff like that? But I think that's an absolutely ridiculous statistic. 789 shots. And Cardiff, who most people would happily admit are like the best team in the league in terms of, if you want to look at them from a football point of view, they're a really nice, easy on the eye team. 64 goals, but only 651 shots. That's just mental. Absolutely crazy statistic. And I think, it's going to be playoffs again.
I've just done a little bit more of a deep dive into the stats. I mean, Brandon said there that we're 23rd in the league for shot conversion, which is one above, obviously, Port Vale, who are disastrous. And I've looked, and we are first in the league for expected goals with 51.9. Our expected goals difference, is also the highest. We're 22.3, which is 10 above Huddersfield, who are in second place, which is absolutely ridiculous. Shots on target per match, we're actually on 4.9, which is second behind Cardiff on 5.3. Big chances created, we're on 80, which is fourth in the league. And big chances missed is 57. We're second in the league. So there's a clear picture there about that front end of the pitch just not converting nearly enough chances.
Yeah.
I think a bit of it might be a bit of it. What am I saying? I can't remember. Put my teeth in. I think a bit of it might be the fact that early doors, Burstow and Amario got off to an absolute flyer in terms of their output, both in terms of assists, goals, and goal involvements. I think that's a new stat that people use. And I think there was all of a sudden a somewhat of a heavy reliance upon them two to produce in terms of output. And if you think back, obviously Burstow's now only just managed to get up to 10 goals for the season.
Yeah.
Obviously Amario's injured, but prior to that, they went on a hell of a dip in form, didn't they? So that reliance on them two has obviously had an effect on the team, hasn't it, really, in terms of that clinical edge, because they both had that clinical edge, didn't they, early on in the season? I think in terms of XG, though, sorry, Ben, I was going to say, you can ignore XG if you don't like it, but I think I tweeted about this earlier, but over the season, it is one of the best indicators where teams actually end up in it, really, like in terms of XG, in terms of finishing your chances in that respect.
It's a perfect indicator. I mean, it's how many goals you should have scored. If you look at the averages, that's what it is. It tells you how many goals you should have scored, and we are underperforming massively, and we can see that on the pitch. You can see that in the numbers. What you mentioned there about the sort of sharing of goals and being heavily dependent on a couple of players, that's something that Lincoln City have done expertly. I mean, if you look at their defence, their defenders have had 11 goals all season, and 14, I think, or 12 assists, and their goalkeepers had 2 assists as well. So you're looking at like almost 30 goal contributions just from their back line. If you compare that to Wanderers, there's 4 goal contributions across Tutu, Farino, Toll, Johnston and Bonham, which...
I mean, them kind of statistics, that's like what we had under Parky, wasn't it, when we had Wheater and Beavers. They were such a threat from set pieces. They scored a load of goals that season. And like you say, people are chipping in there. More people are chipping in. It's not like we've not had the chances for them to score. I mean, yesterday, I think Farino headed 2 that went the wrong way. Went back towards his own somehow. Set pieces have been a bit hit and miss all season for us, but certainly since Dempsey's kind of come in, they do look a bit better off the set pieces. But you can dress it up however you want. But if you want to look at, if you're not interested in stats, fine. I get that. You want to watch the games, etc. We all do. But that is incredible for me. 789 shots, 45 goals. It doesn't even seem like it's possible. But it tells you everything. And I suppose we're playing Blackpool at home, who are not in good form. I know they won against, was it Mansfield? They won 1-0. But they got absolutely battered against Plymouth for it 4-0, 4-1, whatever it were, week before. We're playing one striker up front against a back 3. Obviously, McAtee's injured, so you've kind of lost any hope of somebody running beyond Dalby to try and get 2 up there. Honestly, I'd rather have. I know you don't like McAtee or whatever.
I don't like him. I like his endeavour. I like his effort. I like how he is as a person, how obviously in terms on the pitch and stuff. But I just don't think he's got the ability to be able to get you promoted.
That's fine. He might not have, but that's not what my point is. My point is, against a Blackpool team with 3 centre-backs, you've got Dalby, who's going to be the focal point, who is running and getting beyond him. Because Dempsey wasn't.
There was no one occupying the
There was no one. He had a tough game, don't get me wrong.
So
he had three centre-backs around him most of the time. He did okay. It were a tough game. Horsfall's no mug. He's a good defender. But I just wonder why we're at home against. And don't get me wrong, regardless of the formation, we should have beat him anyway. We had enough to beat him apart from that nonsense in second half. But
I think, sorry, Dan, to answer your question, I think looking at the squad and looking at the options that we had yesterday, the only player that I can see, based on what I've seen already in a very, very short period of time, obviously, is Johnny Kenny in terms of his ability to be able to hopefully run beyond the target man.
Yeah.
He would probably be the only one, I'm guessing, in the front line that we would all agree would be the guy that would come on or start. But my only thought process around him yesterday, in being on the bench instead of starting as a 2 or just behind Dalby, would be the fact that he has only just come back from an injury, and obviously they want to try and kind of protect him a little bit and not, get him injured unnecessarily.
Yeah.
That's why in my mind we only went with one up top anyway.
No, I get that, and I don't necessarily disagree with you. One of my things at the minute with us is that obviously we've made these signings in January, which most people are like quite happy with, especially Blackett Taylor. He looks really good. Apta's taken a little bit longer to get into his stride. But to me, them 2 signings have kind of nullified plan B that we'd started to have, which was like the wing-back system, which actually we'd look really good in. But I think because he's now got these wingers in, I think you could probably say goodbye to that. Now, I think when you're playing a team who's going with a back 3, especially at home, you could match him up and get two players up front. We could have had Burstow and Dalby up front yesterday. Whether you think they should have started or not, but or Kenny as well. I know maybe they were protecting him. I don't know. I just feel like the signings have kind of restricted us a little bit into, and obviously not the lads' faults because I think they're good players. But I just wonder now if he would have the flexibility to think, right, this isn't working. Let's go. Let's change it and go to a back 3, back 5, whatever you want to call it. Because when we did that, we actually looked really good. We started that.
Yeah, he definitely will be able to do that, won't he? Because ultimately, there's not.
It's not that he can't. It's not that he can't do it, mate. I'm not saying he can't. I'm just wondering whether he will, because of these players and the good players.
Yeah, but Apta can play as a 10, can't he? And he's played as a 10 in the past.
He's probably better suited further in because I don't think he's got all that much pace, has he?
No.
So that could have been interesting yesterday. Maybe burst up top and him in behind him. I mean, it's all hindsight, isn't it? And we can all, if we'd have won, this wouldn't have even been a conversation. But I just wonder because I do like us having the flexibility to kind of mix it up a little bit. But I know he really does like this formation, so obviously he's recruited for it. Sorry, I've been going on forever.
It's an interesting point, especially regarding the shape and having that plan B, because that is a conversation that haunted us on this podcast for absolutely unfathomable amount of time. Colin, what's your thoughts on that shape? Do you think what do you think the solution is in terms of converting chances? Where does it lie? Because it's not that necessarily that we're creating chances. Obviously, the amount of shots we've had indicates that there are plenty being created. How do we fix it? Is it a change in shape to maybe create a better quality of chances? Is that what's the problem? First of all, is it the quality of chances? Is it the players? Is it the way that the wind's blowing? And how do we fix it?
I think a little bit of it is. See, in my mind, whether I'm looking at this through kind of rose-tinted glasses or not, but I look at our squad, and this isn't just me saying this. This is obviously so-called EFL experts saying it as well. We've got a really, really good squad for this level. And what I get a little bit perplexed at is to why we are worrying too much about the opposition as opposed to concentrating on ourselves. And what I mean by that is a little bit of what Dan just said then, but yesterday, for example, if you look at that midfield of ours in terms of from a creativity perspective, you've got Ethan Arahan, Sheehan and Carl Dempsey. And Shuey said after the game, the reason kind of why Dempsey played was to kind of keep an eye on one of their lads. I'm not being funny. The 21st, 20th in League One, when you strip it back? They're coming to our place. Like, why are we nullifying any creativity by playing 3, what I would consider central midfielders at home against a team who is so far down the league? Like, I think we should concentrate on our own strengths, really, as opposed to worrying too much about the opposition. Because, for example, if you played, I don't know, Apta as a 10 yesterday, that just completely throws them off, doesn't it, really? And that means, therefore, that they have to kind of sacrifice one of their midfielders to try and pick him up. So, yeah, I think that would alleviate a bit of the issue with regards to creativity, being a bit more thinking about us as opposed to worrying about the opposition.
Dan, do you agree with that? Obviously, there's two sort of camps to this, if you will. There's that the conversations that we had under a previous manager, where it was that we craved that little bit of tactical flexibility and that approach to games, where it's perhaps he's concentrating more on horses for courses, and he's wanting to match up with the opposition and prepare for games according to that opposition instead of just playing this way or the highway. Where do you sit on that?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think any of us are naive enough to think that when they're going over the details for the games and the prep, they're not going to highlight certain things that they do and certain things that we might need to do to counter that. I think that's just like basic stuff, isn't it, in football? But I know what you're saying, Cole. We've got a team where more of 99% of the time you would imagine we should be going to stamp our authority on the game. Such is the kind of squad depth that we have and the quality that goes with that. It's not always going to work, obviously, but I think it's all about that front foot kind of mentality that we wanted to kind of see on the back of the Barnsley game, where we just absolutely got stuck into them straight away. And let's not forget, like, even though Blackpool are down there, they've got a lot of injuries as well. So, you know, for them to come to us patched up, I would hate to think that we were kind of accommodating for some of their players. And like I said, I don't think there's any team that wouldn't, like, when they're doing the preparation, look at certain players and, you know, put instructions. I don't know if it's quite to the level where you'd have to play a certain player for that. Because I do think genuinely we could give them a lot more to worry about than what they could give us. So yeah, I completely get what you're saying there, but yeah, it's just a frustrating game. At the end of the day, if we'd have put chances away in first half, it'd have been home and dry, wouldn't it? But the funny thing was with Bonham, with that pass, it was the irony was not lost on me that it was against Everett where that happened, and like after Huddersfield, after Huddersfield, it was just like why do that? It's just madness to me. Just absolutely get your foot through it.
It's 2026 football. That's what it is, Dan.
I know. It's just crazy. But it's just funny that we've not seen that since the Huddersfield game, and obviously it happens against Everett on his return. His own style that did him for us, worked for him, so to speak. So, yeah, just a weird game.
Yeah, all I'd say, just to end on it quickly, Ben, is who are we to kind of, you know, judge Stephen Schumacher on how to set up a team? Listen, obviously he's far more qualified than any of us ever will be. But I would just, like I said, just like to see a little bit more of them worrying about us, and especially because we know full well, and Shuey probably knows full well, that Ian Evatt doesn't really have the abilities to be able to manage a game out, and that was testament yesterday when they went 2-1 up and they were still bombing forward and got like four attackers in our half when we're trying to kind of counter on them. He doesn't have the ability to be able to manage a game, like, from a defensive standpoint. We all know that. That's why we scored so many goals and conceded so many goals. And obviously yesterday was just an absolute kind of shambles in that sense, weren't it? The fact that we were worrying too much about kind of one or two of Blackpool's players, but never mind. Like Dan said, it's a funny game, wasn't it?
It was indeed, and we spent an awful lot of time talking about it, so we'll whiz through the next couple of segments. We will have to do, well, we don't have to do this one, but we will do it. I have someone in mind that I think deserves it. It is, of course, Fanzone Man of the Match, so get your votes in the chat, please. Now, whilst we were gas-bagging around post-match reactions, I swapped the music back over and re-uploaded the new mid-roll. So,
what a guy!
Quality issues, but you know, behind the scenes, Ben strikes again. Let's have your Fanzone Man of the Matches, please, gents. Cole, what say you?
Ooh, keep it short and sweet because we've blabbered, haven't we, on the last one? I would say Ethan Erahan. I think he deserves man of the match. I thought he was everywhere yesterday for the most part. I thought he could have done a job on his own without having Kyle Dempsey and Sheehan with him, like I've touched upon already, because he was very, very influential in the middle of the park, and he's kind of carried on his recent form. For me, it was great yesterday. But yeah, that's my man of the match.
A worthy vote indeed. Dan, what about you?
Yeah, Erahon as well for me. Really impressed. He's becoming a bit of a Rolls Royce for a midfielder at times, and this stint that he's had, he's waited a long time for it, but he's really doing well. Shout outs to Frino. I thought he was good. Thierry Gale, I thought, had a nice little cameo. Obviously, he ended up getting assist. Could have won it for us, despite the groans and moans in the crowd when he came on. But yeah, Erahon, he's looking good at the minute. So yeah, he's mine.
Fair enough. My vote actually went to Toll. I thought the goal from the corner was a good header, and he scored a goal and he saved the goal at the other end. And I think that was huge moments in the game that can turn the fortune of a football match. And I thought he was at the centre of both of those. So he got my vote, but there's been a couple in the chat. We've had Farino from David. Mark also said Farino. Corey Blackett Taylor from Leslie, Radix Lexi agreeing with that one. Ian Chadbond has said Farino. David has gone for man of the match, Arahan. So I mean, Arahan gets the vote from the fan zone. Mixed bunch in the chat though. Right.
Can we just touch upon Brandon's comment, by the way, before we move on? Because I'm absolutely all over this and I couldn't agree more. Brandon said for the audio listeners, by the way, who are these spanners in the crowd who keep throwing the balls back on the pitch at crap times? Absolute weapons. I'm not so sure about the insults, and obviously we're not that pod and we don't upset anybody, but you're absolutely right, Brandon. It drives me absolutely insane. I don't know why you do it, and you're watching the same game everybody else is, and you can see the way the game's going. It's like they get all excited because they got an opportunity to be friendly with the players and throw the ball back to them. It's crazy. Like, use your noggin.
I must say, huge plaudits to the well-timed thrown balls onto the pitch. The one at Barnsley at home the other week was fabulous. Absolutely,
exactly, that's fine.
Wound the living daylights out of their players up. So if you do happen to catch a ball in the crowd and you're listening, just keep hold of it. And if there's a moment where the opposition are trying to maybe get away quickly or they're taking a throw in, then's your chance to lob it on the pitch. Everyone will give you a nice clap and a cheer.
Yeah.
And you won't get called a spanner from Brandon. So
that
doesn't
well,
make it worthwhile, and I don't know what does. Right, 3 up, 3 down. We'll have your positives and your negatives. We'll start with the positives. So please, as always, get them in the live chat. The track is slightly skew-whiff on each of these mid-rolls.
Remix.
It was a behind-the-scenes job. They will be sorted for the next episode. Let us know, though, please, if you are watching, how is the volume? Because that's the whole reason that they were changed, to make the volume less blow your head off. So please let us know if the volume is more appropriate. Right, let's have your positives in the chat. And Dan, we'll hand over to you first for yours, please.
Oh, positive. Thierry Gale, been slated recently, by myself included. I think justifiably so. Question in his attitude at times. However, he came on off the bench yesterday. Obviously, I think he'd knocked the ball out of play. One of the first things that he did, and the crowd were kind of a bit jittery all over him. But fair play to him. He kept his head down. Got a good crossing for the goal for Burstow, and could have won it for us in the end with a decent shot. So I hope he builds on that, because I don't think anyone can deny that there's a player there. We just want to see the right attitude to go along with the ability. But yeah, I thought he did all right yesterday when he came on.
Yep, I thought so too. Cole, what about you?
Yeah, really easy one actually. I think in all the anger, probably not the right word, but all the frustration of not managing to beat Blackpool yesterday, I think it's easy to forget the character shown by the side once again when, let's be honest, they were 2-1 down, and once again they've managed to claw back a point out of nothing very late on. So that really, the character once again shown, and the never kind of say die attitude that the players have seemingly got, that I do think, hold me to this if you wish, will help massively in a playoff type of scenario. And that's all I'll say on the matter.
I totally agree. My up was very similar. It was that there was another late goal, and it was one after going behind. I think that says a lot about the squad. They do have that attitude. My mind keeps going back to the Huddersfield game where we got the equaliser, and Sam Dalby, the first thing he did after putting the ball in the net was to go and pick it up and trot off back to the halfway line with 3 minutes left to play, confident that we'd get another, which most players in any division would have absolutely no right doing. But I think that attitude and that squad mentality has shifted and come on a million miles from where we've perhaps seen it in the past. And I think Schumacher's made a real point of creating that culture. So that was my positive from the game yesterday, was that was on display again. Leslie has said, up the atmosphere at the ground for a change. I also thought it was pretty good yesterday. Mark has said that the Madry was decent. And Brandon has said that his up was using the lift to get to the North Upper. Definitely will be using that more. Right. Your negatives, please, gents. Get them in the live chat, please. Cole, we'll start with you.
Negatives. I'll be honest with you. The food's terrible, isn't it, at the stadium? And I don't want to sound too much like Ben. It's always kind of food and drink related, but inside of the grounds, it's biz. They need to sort that out. Like, I didn't have time to get any lunch yesterday, so I was like rushing about, and I thought, you know what, I'll just get a burger or something because I really fancy one. Honestly, I throw half it away, and I'm a big lad. I'm a big lad.
You never threw that away. Come on.
Well, honestly, about a quarter of it. A quarter of it, I'd say I threw away. We're hanging, honestly.
I've not had one, to be fair.
Yeah, so I usually, if I'm going to get out here, I'll get a pie, but I thought, I don't want the pie. I'm always getting pies when I come here. I thought I'll try something else, and it would biz. So, yeah, that's my down. They need to improve that. Because in the fan zone, it's mega, isn't it? Like, it's like really one extreme to another.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's like, yeah. But yeah, that's my down anyway.
Yeah, the burgers and hot dogs certainly aren't an example of culinary excellence, put it that way. But Dan, what's your negative?
My negative is Cole's positive, right? Because I know he's saying about the character, which is right, and the never say die attitude. Why do we never have the never say die attitude when it comes to going getting a second and third goal? And it's always when we're chasing something.
Or just the never say die in the first place. Like,
well,
just
try not to. Obviously, it's going to happen at times, but it's like the 7 or 8 games, is it, where we've come back to draw, where we've been behind at times. I don't know if that's right or if I've just made that up, but I've seen something on Twitter earlier with given the number, and it was quite a lot. So my negative is that, you know, and it's a season-wide thing, I suppose, as much as anything, but flipping out, score when you're in control at game instead of having to rely on these late equalisers and whatnot.
Yeah, it is a fair comment. My negative from the game yesterday was that I changed my seat. So I usually sit in IL1, and I moved my seat because I went with my little brother and my mum, my grandma. We had a little family day out, and honest to God, where I was sat. Now, if you sit in this stand, I have to apologise.
I do.
But no, you're in the upper bit. I'm not sure what I can't vouch for up there, but especially in the lower half, the quality of match discussion in that area was horrific, like categorically horrendous. There was a fella, bless him, sat next to me, and I've never heard anyone say put the ball in the box as many times in my whole life, Mike. It was relentless. The ball would be on the halfway line and he'd be shouting, "Get it in the box." I've never known anything like it. It was horrendous. It was unbearable. So I won't be sitting there again.
Gail, stick with me. Ben, what more can you ask for?
Well, yeah, I'm not sure about that. I'd sooner sit on roof. The ball was all the way on the far side of the pitch, and Gale was leaving himself unmarked in acres of space, where he later got the ball, picked the ball up, and had a shot which went just wide. And just before the ball came out to him, this fella, who I don't know his name, shouted, "Why is he stood over there?" As if Gale should have been stood somewhere else on the pitch in a different position, which I'm sure he would have also critiqued, saying he's a winger, why is he stood over there? But yeah, the quality of commentary in that area of the ground was poor, to say the least. So that's my down. Yeah. Let's move on, because I could talk about that for a very long time and get very angry. So we're going to do Fanzone Fan Focus. We've started a couple of comments that have come in already, but please, ladies and gents, get your topics in the chat and we will have a little discussion about them. Right, then, Dan, I will hand over to you.
Thank you. So yeah, we've got a few in fan focus this evening. Obviously, there's still time to put it in. Anything that you want to address, get off your chest, put it to us, put it to the chat.
That was a good little rhyme. That we should do that more often.
I know,
Anything
it was
you want to address, get it off your chest.
Unintentional. But we'll take it. So the first one that I've that's been starred and we've highlighted is from Radix Lectai. And it's, does Schumacher know his best 11 yet after 12 months in charge? What are we saying?
No.
Yeah. I don't think he does, but I don't think that's a disservice to his management as such. I think that's players' performances letting him down. That means he has to change either A, the shape, or B, the players in that shape.
Yes.
When players fall off a cliff form-wise or don't put in the levels that you expect.
Yeah,
I absolutely agree with Ben. No, he doesn't know his best 11, but that's kind of through no fault of his own, given the fact that he's had to do almost a complete clear out of personnel. And also, obviously, he, like I said already, I think he can be guilty sometimes of changing the team to suit the opposition as opposed to worrying too much about ourselves. So that's slight negative on Shuey, only from my perspective, but I'm a bit concerned that I'm saying that because we didn't beat a poor Blackpool team yesterday and I'm just reacting to the situation. Because I think obviously if we'd have won, then we wouldn't be having a conversation, would we? So, but yeah, I think a lot of it is the personnel, to be fair.
Yeah, same here. I think sometimes, the performances aren't going to give him any other option, really, are they? And also now it's... whether I think the squad rotation is just such a big part of the game now, isn't it, as well? So I don't know if there is like a best 11, and some of it's what you're saying, Cole, changing it to suit home or away, what the opposition are kind of like. But yeah, he doesn't know it. But like you said, is that the worst thing in the world? I don't know if he needs to. The next one is off Leslie Davis, and Leslie's saying, thoughts on Kenny? 2 games, 2 glaring misses. I know it's early days, but is he good enough? It is early days. What are you two saying on that?
All I would say is that it is early days. I think we've just got to give him time. He's come back from an injury. He's still not match fit entirely.
Yeah.
Has he showered himself in the limelight? No, he's not. The 2 misses that he has had have been pretty poor. But if you ask,
what is that? I was going to ask exactly the same question. What is the other miss?
He completely fluffed one, but it was offside. So I don't know if that's the one that Leslie.
That might be the one in reference.
Yeah, it was about 4 yard offside.
All I would say is that, if any of us watching this, hosting this podcast had, 3-4 months of not doing our job, would we come back and be all guns firing and be absolutely on our A game? No, we wouldn't. No. Add the physical and psychological element of playing football into that equation and it becomes even harder.
Very well said, Timbo. Very well said.
Thanks, Cole.
Very well said.
It's one of them is the one at Reading as well. Sorry, Cole, just while I reminded myself to mention this. And I hate this. Like, is it too early in the game? That chance. I hate that because I think you're a professional footballer. It shouldn't matter if it's the first
That's
second and the
probably his
last
first big
second.
chance that he's had in like 6 months. So,
Yeah. I mean,
and to come so soon into the game, I don't like the saying either. I don't think it should really matter what minute of football you're playing in. If you're playing football at a professional level, you should be able to put chances away. But I understand the sentiment.
Yeah. Anything on that, Cole?
Yeah, I just think, as I've said already, I think he started and scored goals for Celtic, and they're obviously playing a tin pot league, but they're arguably one of the biggest clubs in world football, and the fact that you can play for a club like that and perform, which he has done in parts this season and part of last, is all we really need to know about its ability in terms of playing in Sky Bet League One, which is a terrible division. So he'll be fine. He'll come good. Just give a lot of time.
Yeah, I agree completely with that one. The next one, which just for full disclosure, I completely agree with this and won't add anything to it. But it's from the damn man 2166, and he's saying, "You may not like Maka, but the best we have looked in the last month is Dalby and Maka playing together. He may not get the goals, Maka, but he is a little terrier with work rate and enjoys playing off a big man." I think that's spot on. Don't know what you lads think.
I think it's I would agree. Statman did a video recently where he said that McAtee, in terms of the league, was in like the top percentile, if you will, or top couple of percentages for chances created per 90. So in terms of the number of chances creating in the minutes of football that he's got, he's quite high up, and he is one of the high performers in the league. There is a caveat to that, in that I think it's far easier to come off the bench and create chances in 30, 20 minutes against tired opposition, against tired defenders, than it is to play a full 90 and still have that same level of output. But I do agree. I think Maka has grown into that 10 role, and much better than at the start of the season. It's just a shame if he was injured and he picked up that knock, then it's that rhythm and that consistency, but with players that we're just not getting.
He was looking so sharp as well after coming back from this latest one, weren't he? I think he's probably the leanest and sharpest he's looked for a while for us. Obviously, it's been very stop-start for him. Colin, you look like you're going to give a hard disagree on this one.
No, listen, I judge my attackers on output in terms of goals and assists, and not on how hard he works, because I think if he's playing up, or if any of our forwards are playing up front with Dalby, he works hard enough for any of them on his own. I judge my forwards on goals and assists and whatnot, and I think that I see more in Kenny than as a 9.5 or playing just off Dalby long term than I do with McAtee. McAtee isn't going to get you promoted. Put it this way, I'd much rather a chance at Wembley drop to Kenny in the last 10 minutes than McAtee, because I think he's got more ability than him in front of goal. So I'm happy that he's not going to be playing, if I'm honest, and I'd rather see Kenny play.
Interesting. Fair enough. Right. This one's from Dave Jones, and he's saying, sorry, it'd be better if I actually showed it on screen. Can we beat a Stockport or a Huddersfield over two legs? A firing Ryan Hardy alongside Dion Charles or Louis Berry at Stockport? I'm not so sure on that. We are missing something in this team for me. Interesting. I think Louis Berry, it's a massive gamble in it from them. I don't think they're banking on him being fit necessarily. Yet? No. It's what they signed him basically, knowing full well that he may not get fit, but on the off chance that he might, could he add something to them? I think it's pretty risk free in terms of like what it's cost them, etc. So, so him getting in, it might be optimistic, but what do you think about that? I mean, from my point of view, I think looking at the playoffs, there's no one who I'd fear at this moment in time. If I wouldn't want to play.
The only team I'd be hesitant going into a two-legged tie against and not erring on the side of confidence is Stockport, because I think they've got a really good squad, and Kyle Wootton is a fantastic forward.
He's good.
firing Ryan Hardy alongside Dion Charles, that doesn't put any kind of fear into me whatsoever. I don't think Dion knows what firing is. He probably can't even spell it. So I don't think Dion Charles would be on my, he wouldn't be on my ones to watch list of players into the playoffs. Put it that way. He's had a really poor season. He's had several poor games. So David summed it up. I think in terms of squad ability, squad depth, I think we're one of the best in the league, and I think most teams will not want to play us and will not look forward to playing us. Whereas I think the players have said it in all of their interviews. They go into games confident. It doesn't always pan out that way, but I don't think we have a reason to fear any team. The only one I would be hesitant with is Stockport.
Cole?
I think it's just imperative that we end up playing, at home in the second leg. That's all I'd say on the mat. I think we've got enough to go away from home against anybody and get a reasonable result. So I think we can, if we're on it, we can destroy any team at home. So I'm not worried at all about getting to Wembley, to be honest. But that comes with its own frustrations, doesn't it? Because I think it's a massively missed opportunity this season, finishing outside that top two.
100%. When you consider how weak the league's been, and that
terrible,
we're in February and we're right, we're kind of calling it, aren't we now, and saying our toes are busted. Of course, we are mathematically. And all that.
We are, but it's imperative that the players don't, because obviously you can't end the season on a negative, because you need to go into the playoffs with some kind of form. Obviously,
you do 100%. And I think people are worried about Stockport, right? And I get it; they've had good results against us, but we lost 2-0 to them on opening day, obviously. But we were really good in that game, and we that was another one we probably should have won. I think the most concerning one is that team that sneaks in on final day, aren't they? You've just had that bit of momentum to shoot up the table. That'd be the one that worried me, rather than someone who'd probably been there all season, if I'm being honest.
Just one quick question, going just before we wrap it up. To obviously the chat as well as you guys. Obviously, we've got us on paper. I'm not concerned about the end of the season in terms of fixtures, because we've been better against the better teams this season, haven't we? And certainly under Shuey as a whole. But do you think it's a positive kind of looking to play the teams that are likely to be in that kind of top 8 come the end of the season, in terms of kind of practice, you might say, going into the playoffs? Because obviously you're going to be coming up against better teams, aren't you? So it's good, it could be good. It's a good thing, really.
Sorry, Beck, go on.
It's okay. I said this on the show that I was on with Daryl. I said exactly that you look at the league table and you look at the teams we've got to play against in terms of mentally preparing yourself for a playoff run, and in terms of the competitive, because the last thing you want is to go into a playoff run and play 5 teams that have got nothing to play for, that aren't really asked and are already on holiday. There's no better. But it could. Hindsight is a wonderful thing. It could go one of 2 ways, couldn't it? We could come to the end of this running and think, Jesus, if we hadn't played all them teams and we could have put a run together, we'd have flown through the playoffs. Or it could be we absolutely pumped them teams, and it's a good job we played them, because we showed them what we were about and then turned them over. Although, in my opinion, I think it is a good thing.
So it could be a good thing. And in an idealistic way, it's a great test of, them kind of games consecutively, of getting some momentum. But then the other side of it is you lose them all. And then you go into the playoffs absolutely on your arse and flat. My biggest thing, and I agree here, I know you've just highlighted it, Cole, to be fair, I think it was you. Our biggest enemy is ourselves. And that's the big thing, isn't it? Like, as good as we know we can play, we just know what we're capable of in a negative way, and we show it time and time again, don't we? So I think, you can look at it and think it'd be good. It'd be a good opportunity to get some good results in and things like that. But I think, more often than not, this season we have looked decent, whether the result's gone for us or not. It's quite often something of our own doing that's caused us to give points up or lose a game. And I felt that for most of the season, to be honest, by the odd couple of games maybe. But yeah, right. I think that's going to be it then for Fan Focus. So thank you everybody who's got their comments in. Good to debate those as always with you. Sorry if we didn't get yours out. You can always comment on YouTube channel if there's anything you want to continue to talk about, and obviously we can have a look at that as well. But yeah, that's the end of Fan Focus. Thank you so much for everyone who's chipped in with that.
Indeed, and as Dan said there, don't be shy getting your comments in on YouTube and or any of our socials. I mean, you're more than welcome to go and have a chat with each other over on our Twitter, over on our YouTube, whatever it might be. It would be great if we had some sort of space where fans could do that all in one place, but who knows, maybe in the next season. I mean, if anyone has heard of Discord, I would be amazed, because our viewership doesn't really strike me as the type of people that would involve themselves with that platform. But if you would like a Fanzone Discord or perhaps a Fanzone Reddit page or whatever it might be, let us know and we can have a look at
That'd be
setting
great,
one of those up.
Be really good.
If you fancy it and you want to have a chat with like-minded Wanderers fans away from the cesspit that can be Twitter, then we can.
Hey,
have a
consider yourself lucky that you don't pay for Twitter, because it should be everybody should have to pay for it, because that's entertaining. Phenomenal platform.
It is. It has its moments, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
Can I end on one last thing? Sorry, Ben, before we wrap it up. For those of you who haven't seen Big Sam's Bolton on YouTube, which I saw a couple of days ago because I couldn't be bothered waiting for the Sky version, which has the clips in. I think that's the reason why it's a little bit longer. If you've watched the YouTube version, you'll know that it's more kind of stills throughout the episode, whatever. But honestly, watch it. If you're I got so emotional watching that. It was just such an amazing time. Like, obviously, if you weren't lucky enough to live through it, watch it anyway, because it's just, you'll realize what club you support and everything that comes with it. It was just an absolutely brilliant documentary. Some of the stuff you might have heard before, but the insights from people inside the game, such as Pep, and obviously we tried to sign Pep as well. And Patrick Vieira and Alex Ferguson, and the list goes on. It's a phenomenal watch, so you have to watch it. It's brilliant, and trying to get as upset as I did, because it was like you're both happy and sad tears, to be honest with you, throughout the whole thing. And I'm not even afraid to admit it, to be honest. I know 70 people have watched this live tonight, and you'll listen back, whatever. It is sad that I cried, but I did, because it was a timely reminder of how pathetic we are at the moment being in League One. But there we are.
Special days though, then, mate, weren't there?
Very special. Very, very special, yeah.
Yeah, I need to watch that. It's a good reminder for me, actually. But yeah, give it a watch. It'll be brilliant, I'm sure.
Indeed. Speaking of very special, thank you all very much for joining. You are an incredible bunch of people. Thank you for choosing to spend your Sunday evening with us here at the Fanzone podcast. It is, of course, our pleasure to bring you these shows. But if you do like them and want to give back in some way, shape or form, then you can subscribe to the Fanzone pod on YouTube. It is completely free, but it does go a long way in helping other Wanderers fans join in the chat. So if you're thinking, I'd quite like some more people in the live chat, then if you subscribe and like the videos, then there's more chance of the internet YouTube algorithm showing our content to more Wanderers fans. So hit that subscribe button, drop a like on the video. But thank you all very much for watching. It has been a pleasure. Take care, and we will see you all very, very soon.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, unreal. Boys are